week I thought it'd be fun to show you how I do the backgrounds on some of my paintings. This one's for the Dynamite Kid. So first I took a ruler and drew in the Union Jack pattern on the background since he was one of the British Bulldogs. And what I'm doing next, that you can see here, is laying down a lot of water for the background area. And I'm careful to not get it into any of the figure area. Using a Sakura Koi water brush pen lets you put down a lot of water really quick. So next, I'm putting a lot of water into the watercolor tab to get the brush really fully loaded. That's important with what we're going to do next here. Because it's all wet, you can see that it's just spidering out, kind of doing its whatever it wants to do, but it's still going to be more intense in those areas where I actually laid the brush down because of the larger amount of pigment. To me, I think watercolor is a lot of fun because you don't have a lot of control throughout the process. And doing something like this wet on wet technique, it really goes wherever it wants to go. The tray that I've got my drawing board on is even at a little bit of an angle, so you can see that it pools down a little bit towards that angle. So I'm doing the red first because that's the lighter of the colors that I'll be using here. Obviously not using white because the paper's already white. So red first, then I'm going to come in with the darker blue, and you start to see the Union Jack pattern emerge a little bit. The watercolors that I'm using are a palette that Reeves put out. They're a little bit off primary color, like, you know, this is the blue here and you can see that it's a deeper blue. Everything's a little bit more rich, and I think it gives me a little bit of a shorthand with the watercolors, lets me not have to spend as much time on mixing colors. I can kind of just get right to it. I know some artists out there will say like, oh well, you should spend that time in the mixing, and yeah, sometimes I do, but also I got bills to pay, man. I gotta get these things going. So you can see the flag pattern starting to emerge there, and you can also kind of see the effect that the wet on wet is getting. Another thing to keep in mind when you're working this way is you have to work really fast because water dries, right? It evaporates. And the effect loses its impact when things dry. So now that I've got the paint down, what I'm going to do, because I still have to put the ink on this portrait, I like mixing the ink into the watercolor in some areas. It gives it more of a painterly effect, not as many hard edges. So here, you know, like because it's still wet, it's gonna spider out into it like the paint itself is doing. And in that lower area, because it's a smaller portion, I ended up going back in with a rag and pulling some of that ink back out. And here you can see where it dried, and blammo, there it is with the inks. Not bad. Alright, time to pay the bills. Got new prints. Got First Lady, Money, and Fighting Reflections. Got 3 new print sets. Madman in a box set. It's Doctor Who stuff. Tonight's main event print set. That's 80s All Stars. And the Hounds 4 print set. I think you know who those guys are. And I'll see you this weekend at the National Wrestling Hall of Fame induction, and I'll have both of these prints available at the show to benefit them.